friends, this is lecture number 1 and the first is about supply. Now, the taxable event in GST is supply of goods or services or both. So, the taxable event differs from one indirect tax regime to another. For example, the taxable event in VAT is not the same as the taxable event in customs. So, the taxable event varies from one act to another. And here in GST, the taxable event is supply. So, the word used throughout the GST Act is supply. Let us remember that sale is being substituted by word supply. Sale, manufacture, everything is being substituted by the word supply in GST, and therefore the taxable event in GST is supply. Now, we know that GST includes both goods as well as services. Therefore, the taxable event in GST is supply of goods or services or both. So, it can be supply of goods, it can be supply of services, it can be supply of goods as well as services. So, the taxable event is supply of goods or services or both. Now, various taxable events like manufacture, sale, rendering of service, purchase, entry into a tax territory of state, etc. have been done away with in favor of just one event, supply. So, under each and every indirect tax act, the taxable events differ. For example, in case of excise, Central Excise Act, the taxable event is manufacture. So, manufacture of goods is a taxable event in Central Excise. In case of VAT, it is a sale of goods. And in case of service tax, it is a rendering of service. So, in case of Service Tax Act, the taxable event is rendering of service. Purchase, entry into a territory of state, etc. So, we know that under each and every indirect tax act, the taxable event differs. Now, when all these Central Excise, VAT and sales tax, everything is being merged into one subsumed into one particular indirect tax, GST. Therefore, manufacture, sale, service, purchase, entry into territory of state, everything, all these taxable events are being subsumed and made it into one particular taxable event, that is supply. So, that is what being told. Various taxable events like manufacture, sale, rendering of service, purchase, entry into territory of state have been done away. Why is it being done away? Because all these Central Excise, VAT, service tax, etc. have been subsumed into GST. Therefore, manufacture, sale, rendering of service has been done away. And now, in place of all these things, there is only one event, and that event is called supply. That's why in the first line itself, we talk about supply of goods or services or both. Now, the Constitution defines goods and service tax as any tax on supply of goods or services or both, except for taxes on the supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Now, to bring the GST into existence, the Constitution has been amended and the Constitution has defined GST. How has it defined? It is any tax. Let us see that the word used here is any tax. There is not much restriction. Therefore, there is openness in the definition. Any tax on supply of goods or services or both. So, whenever this word is being used, supply of goods, it always comes, most of the cases, it always comes along with the word supply of goods or services or both. Throughout GST Act, whenever supply is being talked about, it comes like this: supply of goods or services or both. This is being used because the Act does not make much distinction between goods or services except in few cases. So, most of the time, the goods or services are not distinguished, and therefore, when supply is talked, it is talked in the conjunction of supply of goods or services or both. Therefore, GST Act is any tax, GST tax is any tax on supply of goods or services or both, except for taxes on the supply of the alcoholic liquor for human consumption, except taxes on the supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. The word here used is alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So, alcoholic liquor for industrial consumption is within GST Act. Only alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside GST Act. So, the taxes which are levied under alcoholic liquor for human consumption is still VAT. GST is not being levied for alcoholic liquor for human consumption because the Constitution by itself has excluded alcoholic liquor for human consumption from GST. So, except for taxes on the supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. That means GST is not levied for alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Next, the central and state governments will have simultaneous powers to levy the GST on intra-state supply. What is the meaning of intra-state? Within a particular state. Suppose let us take the state of Tamil Nadu. So, if there is a supply which is made within Tamil Nadu and it is not going outside Tamil Nadu, then it is called intra-state supply, within the state supply. So, in case of intra-state supply, the state government and central government are having simultaneous powers. So, what do they say? The central and state governments will have simultaneous powers to levy the GST on intra-state supply. So, in case of intra-state supply, both the central government and state government will have simultaneous powers to levy GST. Let us take for instance, there is an intra-state supply of goods which attract 18% GST. So, in case of intra-state supply, which is 18% for a particular goods, the central and state governments will have simultaneous powers to levy GST. So, what happens? The tax rate is 18%. This 18% will be equally split into two, 9% and 9%. One portion 9% will go to central government as CGST. The other 9% goes to state government as SGST. So, central CGST is 9%, state SGST is 9%. So, 9 plus 9 is 18%. That is what being told here. The central and state governments will have simultaneous powers to levy the GST on intra-state supplies. In case of intra-state only, both the central and state governments have simultaneous power to levy GST. However, the Parliament alone shall have exclusive power to make laws with respect to levy of goods and service tax on interstate supply. So, now we come to another word, that is interstate supply. Interstate means between two states. For example, there is a supply which is taking place between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. So, it involves two states. So, that is a case of interstate supplies. So, it is when there is a supply involving two different states. It means there are two different states are involved in that particular supply. So, if that be the case, the Parliament will have the power to make laws with respect to levy of GST on interstate supplies. So, in case of interstate supplies, IGST is being levied. That is, integrated goods and service tax is being levied, and the Parliament is having the exclusive power. What does it mean, exclusive power? The Parliament alone will have the power. No other body has the power to make laws with regard to IGST. So, the Parliament alone shall have exclusive power to make laws with respect to levy of goods and service tax on interstate supply. On interstate supply, IGST is being levied, and the Parliament will alone have that power to make laws with respect to IGST. Thank you.